What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Tennessee Football Talk. My name is Joey Petersen. Happy transfer portal opening day to each and every one of you guys. We have a ton to discuss on today's show. Some game-changing news from college football insiders on guys like Chaz Coleman, Tawfiq Byard, who may be coming to Knoxville, Tennessee very, very soon. I'll tell you what to expect. We're going to discuss some other rumblings in the transfer portal. A couple of running backs could be coming to Tennessee. And then we're going to talk about the latest departures. Caleb Herring, Rickey Gibson will be discussed. We're going to round out all the coaching staff moves and maybe give you an update on Max Gilbert's future in Knoxville. It is going to be a jam-packed episode. That's why I'm so glad you guys are hanging out with me. If this is your first time, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're like at 100 subs away from 11,000. Let's get there by the end of the day. Okay, that's my goal to the best fan base in the country. Let's start off with, I think, the buzz that I'm most excited about, and that is about Penn State edge rusher Chaz Coleman. When he announced that he was going to enter the transfer portal a couple of weeks ago, I talked about it on Twitter, had a lot of Ohio State fans in my mentions calling me an idiot, saying he's going to be a Buckeye, and that was kind of the consensus for the first week or so. Ohio kid, most likely going to go back to Columbus. And then over the last couple of days, over the last 24 hours or so, it really seems like Tennessee has started to kind of come into the picture. On3 reported earlier this morning, Ohio State continues to be the school to keep tabs on in Chaz Coleman's transfer portal process, sources tell On3. Coleman is a Warren, Ohio native. He has spent years of eligibility. He has 3 years of eligibility remaining, and his raw talent makes him one of the top players entering the portal. Tennessee and LSU are other schools to watch, sources tell On3 Steve Wiltfong and I. That report coming from Pete Nakos. That was earlier this morning, okay? Then, just about an hour ago, Steve Wiltfong on his YouTube show said, sounds like it's LSU and Tennessee emerging as the price tag continues to go up. Now, I've got a couple of thoughts about this. Obviously, we got to address the price tag situation because Chaz Coleman is not going to be somebody that's cheap. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, top 100 prospect. Right now, he's like he's a top 10 overall prospect in the transfer portal. Apparently the number 1 edge prospect, if you look at 24/7's portal rankings. This is a kid that will come in and in year 1 with 3 years of eligibility remaining be an impact player. 6'4", 250 pounds, raw talent. He's got the highest ceiling of almost any edge rusher in the portal right now. He knows Jim Knowles. He knows Jim Knowles' system. And so you can kind of see why the price tag would be high. But let's face it. You're not going to be paying Jamal McCoy. You're not going to be paying Rickey Gibson. You're not going to be paying Boo Carter. You're not going to be paying Caleb Herring. You're not going to be paying a ton of these guys who are in the transfer portal or are going to the NFL draft like a Joshua Josephs. So that frees up a lot of money to play with defensively. Now, of course, I want this team to be smart. I don't want you to go out and spin it all on one player because we know there are many holes that need to be filled when it comes to this defensive room in any position. But Chaz Coleman is incredibly intriguing, and I just feel like it's trending in a very good direction as Tennessee seems to be a team, like Steve Wiltfong said, is emerging. And we've gotten that update throughout the day. I think that's some game-changing news when it comes to building a roster, especially when Caleb Herring left. Caleb Herring is in the portal. Your edge rusher room right now is Jordan Ross and a ton of other guys you like, but you don't really know too much about. Joshua Josephs is gone. I think one of the reasons that Caleb Herring is gone, I think, his price tag was probably too high for what Tennessee felt like he was worth. I think, B, the report came out yesterday that Jim Knowles apparently is trending towards edge rushers that are a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and away from the model that Tennessee has had over the last couple of years where they're leaner, but they're very fast. They're speed rushers. James Pierce Jr., Caleb Herring. Like, James Pierce Jr. is one of the skinnier first-round edge rushers in the last couple of years in the NFL draft. Caleb Herring is like 230. Like, that dude is small for his height and the position that he plays. So, interesting little nugget for Chaz Coleman there. We'll keep you updated as that continues on throughout the rest of this process. Another really interesting nugget, and a guy we've talked about, I believe, 3 times already on this channel, a guy I have had my eye on since the second he entered the portal. That is Tawfiq Byard. He's the younger brother of Kevin Byard, former Tennessee Titan, currently plays with the Chicago Bears. Played at Colorado this past year, and Pete Nakos reported this morning, former Colorado safety Tawfiq Byard tells On3 he's officially in the transfer portal, and there are a few programs to watch moving forward. Texas A&M is the first program that Byard will go visit, arriving in College Station on January 3rd, so that'll be tomorrow. Following his trip to see the Aggies, Byard tells On3 he'll go visit Tennessee for 2 days. Safety is your number one priority. Safety has been your number one priority since this season ended. I am in the camp of getting as many good safeties as possible in that defensive back room. You just hired a new safeties coach, and Anthony Poindexter. More on that in a second. A guy who I've got a lot of confidence, a lot of excitement about, but he can only do so much. You got to put the players in the room. Tawfiq Byard is one of those players. 79 tackles this last year, 4 pass breakups and an interception. And I think one of my favorite things to judge whether a transfer portal player is a player that you could get excited about possibly adding is seeing what opposing fan bases are saying. And if you look at what Colorado fans are saying after Tawfiq Byard entered the portal, they are devastated. They are so heartbroken. That is how you know that's a guy worth pursuing. Okay? Obviously, that's not the only metric. I'd rather him be a scheme fit. I'd rather these coaches do their due diligence on the actual player. But for us as fans who only have such limited knowledge on what's going on, such limited knowledge on the game, scheme fit, things like that, a good metric we could use is see what opposing fan bases are saying when their players are leaving. A couple of other portal notes to discuss. These involve running backs. NACO says that early schools to watch in this recruitment of NC State running back Hollywood Smothers includes Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Florida State. His representative, Brian Miller, tells On3 straight from the horse's mouth right there. And then Jacksonville State running back Cam Cook. Sources tell On3 that Houston and Tennessee will both get visits from the running back who rushed for 1,659 yards in 2025. Now, it's interesting to me to see how this running back room is going to wrap itself up. It's interesting to me to see what transfer portal running backs would like to actually come and play for Tennessee. Because I would like to think it's a lot because of how good running backs have typically done in Josh Heupel's offense. But you also have to remember, you have to realize that they got the running back one. Deshaun Bishop is going to be back next year. So I feel like some of these guys, like a Cam Cook, Jacksonville State, rushed for over 1,700 yards last season. I've got a feeling he's going to be able to go somewhere where he can be that number one running back option for an offense. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know that for sure, but it's like if you're him, would you rather go somewhere where you're the RB1 or would you rather go somewhere where you're going to be the second guy behind Deshaun Bishop? That's my take on it. That's pretty much it for intel that we've gotten. Obviously, game-changing news when it comes to Tawfiq Byard and Chaz Coleman. We'll be keeping you guys updated on those guys throughout the day. I want to round out today's show with just a couple of news and noteworthy items surrounding Tennessee over the last I don't want to say 24 hours. The last video we put out was this morning, but it didn't really address anything new. It was kind of just on the quarterback position. Let's talk about everything that's happened since Lance Hurd entered the portal, because that was the last latest breaking thing we discussed, okay? Max Gilbert, Austin Price of On3 reported today that Max Gilbert most likely will not be at Tennessee next year. Kennedy, how does that make you feel? My wife says happy. I'm happy about it. You should be happy about it too. Look, I'm sure Max Gilbert, the kid, is awesome. I'm sure he's a great guy. He missed kicks. That is the antithesis of what you want a kicker to be able to do. Was he accurate at times? Sure. When you needed him most, he wasn't. Okay? That's really all go into that. Let's just call a spade a spade. This team needs a new kicker. Max Gilbert is not going to be that kicker. I think that's awesome. I think that's noteworthy. I think that's game-changing for next season. Rickey Gibson and Caleb Herring to the portal. Gibson entered late last night. With those guys, apparently Austin Price said that their price tag was just a little bit too high from what, Josh Heupel and company were willing to pay. Look, Rickey Gibson, you've paid a lot of money for him, and obviously he dealt with a shoulder injury, but you got nothing out of him, and I think he wanted a little bit more. I think he probably thought he could get a decent bid out of Tennessee, and Tennessee didn't budge. This was a guy who kind of tried to do the same thing last year. It ended up being a success for him because Tennessee kind of bowed down to his wishes, ended up forking over a little bit more money. I don't think Tennessee was going to do it again after he did not play the entire season. Like, you got one quarter out of him. Now, is that a big hit? Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. I don't think we as Tennessee fans can say all season long, guys, this defense would be so much better if Rickey Gibson was out there playing. And then when Rickey Gibson enters the transfer portal, say, screw him, he's not going to be missed anyway. It's either one or the other, okay? I am one to say, okay, he was a big miss this whole season. He's going to be a big miss next year from a talent perspective. But again, that's a lot of money you're going to be able to use. Think of that secondary room. Boo, Jamad, Rickey, all of those guys are making decent money. You're going to be able to use that money now. Joshua Josephs at the edge rusher room. He was making a lot of money. He's going to the draft. Same with Arian Carter. You've got so much more money to spend now. That's why I've got a feeling Tennessee is about to do something Tennessee hasn't done in the transfer portal, and that's absolutely ball out. Okay? And it's not like they haven't been able to do that because, money resources. It's just that's typically how Josh Heupel has dealt with the transfer portal. He's never been a guy that went all in, added a ton of pieces. He's kind of seeming to be that guy. And then for Caleb Herring, look, he flashed a lot. That Georgia game I remembered being one of his best games. But other than that, didn't get a ton of playing time. And after the report of how kind of Jim Knowles' edge rushers, at least he likes them to be, you can kind of see how Caleb Herring maybe didn't feel like he fit. Staff things. Talked about it on YouTube Shorts last night. Willie Martinez and the Tennessee Volunteers will be parting ways. I like Coach Nez, but I just think you need a clean house with the secondary room. I just think you do. That's just the way football goes. Coming in to replace him will be Anthony Poindexter, who will be coaching safeties, and Michael Hunter, graduate assistant for Ohio State last year, will come in and be the new cornerbacks coach. Now, it's always a risk hiring a graduate assistant. Now, this is a guy that people speak very highly of. Caleb Downs praised Michael Hunter. Hunter played in the NFL. He played in college football. I think it's an interesting hire. I'm excited about it. Jim Knowles obviously has coached with him before at Ohio State. But I'm not just going to sit here and say, yeah, this graduate assistant from Ohio State, that was a home run hire. I think I'd be misleading you in that sense. Now, I think Anthony Poindexter is that. How I know? Well, Louisville was looking at him to be their defense coordinator. So the fact that Jim Knowles can get him to come and be this team's safety coach, I think is a massive, massive upgrade. A guy who was, I tweeted it out earlier, make sure to go follow me on social media. You can see it. If you look at his recruiting profile, just loads of blue chip prospects. 4 stars, 5 stars out the wazoo. Cannot wait for this guy to be recruiting. And then William Inge and Chop Harbin both staying in Knoxville. Inge, I thought it was 50-50. Chop, I thought it was pretty much 100%. They could not let that guy leave the building, and they did. I think that's a good call. All right, that's going to do it for today. Told you we had a lot to discuss. We're going to continue to have a lot to discuss, okay? It is portal season, new intel every single day. I think this is going to be the last video of the day. Unless something crazy happens over the next couple of hours, we'll get another video out. My wife and I are going to go see a movie. So we'll see if she lets me be on Twitter during it. If not, I'll keep you updated after, and we'll get you out a video early tomorrow morning. Again, appreciate you guys. Hope you're enjoying your Fridays. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.